Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm Dave and we're here to talk about investing. Just on a personal note before we get into it, I just wanted to say that when I started this channel, my initial goal was to get to 100 subscribers. That was just so that I could feel like, I'm having a conversation with someone out there. I'm not just kind of talking to myself, staring into a screen and no one's listening, So we're starting to get a bit closer to that goal now, which is pretty exciting. And I'd just like to thank everyone who subscribed for helping me out and participating in this conversation we're having about investing. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope by the end of the video, if you have enjoyed it and found it interesting, you'll consider hitting that subscribe button and joining us for future videos. So today we're talking about CRISPR Therapeutics. It's a company I haven't actually spoken about before on the channel, and I just want to be very transparent about where I stand with this company and my knowledge on it, because I know a lot of YouTubers out there like to present that they know absolutely everything about the companies they're covering, and they're the absolute experts. So I became an investor in this company a few years ago, and I have to admit I was going through a phase where I was just seeing, ooh, this company looks kind of interesting, I'll just put some money into that. Oh, that company sounds kind of interesting, I'll just put some money into that, or that, or that, or that. And all of a sudden, I had tons of small investments of companies that I didn't know nearly enough about, and I just wasn't able to research them to the depth that I think I should have, because I was buying so many different things. They all seemed interesting and exciting. It was a time when the market was going up a lot and these stocks were often going way up. So I bought into this stock knowing a little bit about it, knowing about the story, but honestly, like if this was today, I would have had to do a lot more research before I would have bought the stock, because what I'm trying to do now is focus down into stocks that I have a higher conviction in, higher belief in, and you just can't do that with, hundreds of stocks in your portfolio. You simply don't have the time or resources to research them as deeply as I think you need to hold individual stocks with high conviction as a retail investor. So as I've been going through some of these stocks that I just kind of YOLO'd into a few years ago, trying to find which ones are worth keeping for the longer term, which ones I think I'm willing to sell and sort of consolidate into the higher conviction names, I've been trying to figure out where some of these companies lie, and CRISPR Therapeutics is one of them. So I recently started looking into it a bit more deeply, as I have with some of these other stocks. A few of them I sold just because, I had too many companies that I couldn't research. Some of them I've looked into more deeply and think, yeah, I really want to stay with this company. Others I think, I think I can sell this and put it into this other company. Sure, it may go up in the future, but I just need to consolidate my portfolio and have stocks that I really am able to know a lot about. That's one of the reasons why I did sell Zillow. I know that was a bit controversial, that and the whole iBuying thesis being kind of shut down. So that's where I am with CRISPR Therapeutics. I'm not claiming to be a complete expert on the stock, but this is me looking into it, trying to learn more about it, and hopefully sharing what I learned with you guys, and hopefully you'll find it interesting as well. And as I go and make more videos, I'll learn more and more about it. So this is one of the earlier ones, and we're just exploring the stock together, basically. That being said, let's jump into the analysis of the stock, what it's been doing lately, and my thoughts on it. Okay, so here we are, CRISPR Therapeutics, and what we're looking at right now is a 2-year chart of CRISPR's stock price compared with the 2-year of the NASDAQ, which is probably the index that it tracks the most closely. So we can see about a year and a half ago, CRISPR had an absolutely amazing run. Extremely sharp rise in the share price, and I think this was also reflected in a lot of other high valuation growth stocks that were really running up at the time. Think, NEO, Tesla, there's a lot of excitement in the market around that time and a lot of growth going pretty wild. NASDAQ was doing pretty well too, but obviously not nearly as well, a bit more steady there, but still doing well. And then we had a massive crash, right? So I think to be open, I probably bought CRISPR around here. So maybe even lower, it might have been around here. So I'm sitting at a loss right now, just to be completely open with you guys, and I'm trying to decide, is this a stock I want to hold on to or get rid of? They do some very exciting things, which I will get into soon, but just looking at the stock, it's had a quite poor run over the past year, but then so has the entire NASDAQ, really, especially high multiple growth stocks like this falls into. It's a biotech company. And yeah, just had a really bad time, like a lot of us, over the past year or so. But lately, I was noticing we are starting to have quite a little run down here. And it's looking a lot more bullish to me than a lot of these other stocks. We do seem to have at least had a temporary bottom. Some people think it's just like a bear market rally. Some people think we've fully bottomed. I'm not going to say either way what I think. But nevertheless, the stock has done better than the NASDAQ for sure over the past month or so, and done better than a lot of the other stocks that it trades with. So I'm trying to figure out why that is. Is there something going on here where the stock is looking really good, like it's going to break out? Is there some positive news? What's the story here with this stock? Now, if we zoom into a 1 month, it becomes really much more visible. This is a 1 month chart on CRISPR versus the NASDAQ, where the NASDAQ has been relatively flat, maybe a little bit up. CRISPR's gone ballistic here. It's up 49%. Like 49% in 1 month is absolutely an amazing return. You'd love to have that in a year. Like a lot of investors would be happy with that over a 5-year period if they're looking for safe companies. But in 1 month, that's amazing. So like, I start to look at this and I think to myself, okay, there must be something really big going on right now. What's the big news? What's driving this? Is it all just macro market trends? It feels like it's too sharp. It's too big to just be because the macro markets have been doing a little bit better recently. So I started to look into it a bit further. Hey guys, just a quick break to say that in support of this video, we do have a referral link to Interactive Brokers trading platform down below in the description of the video. I do recommend it. It's the trading platform I use. They have the lowest rates on margins in the business and extremely low trading costs. They have advanced tools for trading options, doing research on their trader workstation. If you're interested in checking out a more advanced trading platform and perhaps switching over, please do consider clicking on the link below. It'll help out the channel as well. Thanks. Now let's get back to the video. And what we had on May 9th, CRISPR Therapeutics provides business update and reports first quarter 2022 financial results. So, you know, it happens 4 times a year. Quarterly results get reported. And then I look back at the chart. That happens right around May 9th back here. So, the stock did start to move a little bit after these quarterly results. So I wanted to dig into this and see if there's anything exciting going on in these Q1 results. So we look at the headline numbers here. These are kind of like the top line numbers that analysts usually look at most closely. Things like earnings per share, gains, losses. And we can see that we reported a net loss per share of $2.32, which was wider than the consensus analyst estimate of a loss of only $1.91 per share. So they actually lost more money than analysts were expecting. And not only that, year ago period, they posted a loss of $1.51. So we're up significantly over the year ago period as well for our losses. So our losses are going up. They're not going down, at least right now. Usually you would think this wouldn't be a good sign for a stock, but yet we're going way up. So we may have to dig a little deeper here and try and figure out what's going on. Then we see CRISPR Therapeutics total revenues, which comprise grants and collaboration revenues, came in at $0.9 million for the first quarter compared with $0.9 5 million reported in the year ago period. So these are tiny numbers, right? Especially for a company the size of CRISPR, like $900,000 in revenues is nothing. And even if that's higher than the 0.5 million before, that really shouldn't be moving the stock like this, in my opinion. The revenues included 0.17 million in collaboration revenues and 0.76 million in grant revenues. Revenue substantially missed the Zacks consensus estimate of $5 or 5.67 million. So here's another bad sign. Well, what you would traditionally consider a bad sign for a stock. The revenues missed the estimate massively. So we made a little under 1 million and the estimate was over 5 million. That means, we made less than 1/5 what analysts were expecting us to make. In any other company, or at least the majority of companies, this would be a massive blow to the stock and it would go tumbling down. This one has not. So, let's keep looking here. R&D expenses were 118.2 million, up 67.4%. This could be good or bad. You look at R&D spending and you say, okay, well, that's going to drive more growth and innovation in the future. Some people look at it and they say lower R&D spending means we're running a lean company or making more money and having higher margins because we're not spending so much on R&D. So it can really depend how you look on it. Some people like to see a high R&D number and others don't. This figure is to support the development of its immuno-oncology programs and costs related to the U.S. R&D headquarters. So I think now's a good time to talk a little bit about what CRISPR does, in case some of you out there are unaware. They are a medical technology company specializing in genetic engineering using CRISPR-Cas9 basically breakthrough and attempting to use it to treat a variety of serious medical conditions, looking to be able to make new treatments for things like cancer and diabetes, all sorts of extremely horrible afflictions that people have. They're working on trying to develop new treatments for it. So when I look at a company that does something like that, one of the things I like to invest in is companies that's working towards making the future a better place. And this definitely falls under that category, right? So they're working towards making a brighter future where we don't have to worry so much about cancer. We have better treatments, making people healthier through this genetic technology. I think it's a noble goal. I'm sure everyone out there knows someone who's gone through cancer, and it's not a fun experience, right? So it gets a check for me on that front, but we still do have to worry about the financials. Now, why are these numbers so horrible, like absolutely awful, and the stock is still going up? What I'm realizing is you can't look at this like you look at a normal company. So these revenue numbers, 0.9 million, 0.5 million, 0.17 million, that's pretty much nothing. And that's just kind of grant money, collaboration money. That's not where the real money is planned to come from. It's really negligible, if you ask me anyway. And a lot of times for companies, you're looking for things like improving margins, how much they're growing their balance sheet, and growing their product lines, things like that. We can't really look at any of that. They're working on experimental new treatments for serious diseases. These are in trials right now. They are works in progress. So if they are successful, they can potentially make a lot of money off these new treatments. And if they're not successful, this 0.9 million in revenue is not going to matter whatsoever. So I think what really matters here is, are their new treatments going to be successful? Are they looking positive? Is that going to lead to a brighter future? I still haven't researched the total addressable market for these treatments, how much they would be making off of them, things like that. But what I do know is that They do absolutely need these treatments they're working on to work and to be safe in order for the company to be successful. And that's really the bottom line here, not how much grant money they might get, whether it's 2 million or 1 million. That's really besides the point. They're going to be burning money until they can bring these new treatments to market. We just need them to be successful, them to be safe, the trials to go well, and the treatments to work properly. That's the bottom line until they can bring these drugs to market. So that being said, yeah, this stuff at the end of the day, not really that important for this stock, which is something I would rarely say for any company. How much money they made or lost is not that important. Obviously, we don't want the cash burn to be too huge, but it looks like their balance sheet is reasonable to get them through for several years into the future until they can hopefully bring these drugs to market, these treatments to market, rather. And the cash burn, I guess, may be slightly significant here, but in terms of revenue numbers, it doesn't really matter too much to me. I'm going to be honest, which is a funny thing to be saying. So let's continue on. In the business update here, they said they had more than 75 patients dosed with their CTX-001 trial. And they plan global regulatory submissions on track for late 2022. They initiated 2 new CTX-001 phase 3 clinical trials. They have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Obviously, phase 3 is the furthest along, so that's good to see. Again, as I'm digging into this company, I'm trying to learn more and more about medical trials and drug development, which is not something I thought I would ever try to become an expert in, but that's where we are. I think to understand this company, you really need to go there. So enrollment and dosing ongoing for CTX-110, targeting CD19 plus B-cell malignancies. Additional data expected to report in 2022. Updates from ongoing CTX-120 and CTX-130 clinical trials anticipated in the first half of 2022. That's 1H 2022. So they have a bunch of different treatments here going through clinical trials, testing to see how well they work. What we really want to know is, how are these trials going? How well are these treatments working? So continued on the business update, enrollment and dosing are ongoing in the phase 1 clinical trial, so that's earlier, of VCTX-210 for the treatment of type 1 diabetes. I mean, imagine if they could revolutionize treating diabetes, right? That would just be a great thing for the entire world, regardless of how profitable the company is. So, it does make me a little more inclined to hold the stock, I do have to admit, putting my money towards a brighter future. CRISPR Therapeutics continues to expect to move multiple programs utilizing in vivo approaches into the clinic in the next 18 to 24 months. So, not making a lot of money right now, but they are expecting to move programs into clinic. So that is good. Just a little chart they did in their quarterly results talking about the status of some of their different treatments, CTX-110, CTX-120, 130. So they're in clinical trials here, and status enrolling, and then down here they're still in the research phase to unlock the full potential of IO therapy with CRISPR. Here they're looking to basically expand their treatments into solid tumors. So obviously if you can treat solid tumors and not just liquid, that would be a great thing, as they are extremely common. So I looked through all this in the earnings call, and then I thought, it looks like pretty good. Obviously, the numbers aren't great in terms of money, but we're not really all about the revenue numbers at this point for this company. But, I mean, it happened on the 9th, right? And we had a little bit of a move, but it kind of stayed in the same range. 9, 10, back down for the 11th. Back up again a little bit on the 12th. So it didn't move the stock that much. Now I'm thinking maybe it wasn't what was in this earning call that really moved the stock. So I kept looking, and then what I found next was a few days later on May 12th, CRISPR Therapeutics announces oral presentation of new clinical data on anti-CD70 allogenic CAR T therapy, try saying that 5 times fast, which is CTX130, for patients with T-cell lymphoma at the annual European Hematology Association 2022 Hybrid Congress. So this comes out on May 12th, and then I look back at the stock and I see, okay, May 12th, right about here. And yeah, right after that, we kind of have a big run here on the stock running up, and it's continued to this day. And I do still hold it, so obviously I like to see this, can't lie. But I really wanted to dig in deeper to what this is, what this presentation will be about. So I looked into it further, and they released an abstract, or submitted the abstract anyway. So according to the abstract, what we see is that CTX30 clinical trial for patients with T-cell lymphoma has been accepted for oral presentation, blah, 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 like we spoke about. This will be the first clinical data presented from the CTX130 program. So that seems pretty exciting. To me, it's the first clinical data that's ever been presented. I don't think they'd be making a big announcement like this if it wasn't really good news. If it's bad news, you generally try to hide it or make it less big of a deal, as opposed to go and have a big presentation at a conference of medical professionals. So starting to get pretty exciting there. Will be presented by a professor, Department of Lymphoma, Division of Cancer Medicine, University of Texas, during their gene therapy session. So I really wanted to see what was inside this abstract. Obviously, the presentation itself hasn't happened yet. I'll be looking for that closely in a few days on Saturday, but I wanted to see the rest of the abstract of it anyway. So I went over to the European Hematology Association website, and tried to see if I could pull up the abstract for this study. So honestly, there is a lot of medical jargon here that a lot of people won't understand, and I don't even understand completely fully, but I've looked into it enough to, I think, get the gist. And I think what the important numbers are right here. At DL greater than 3, ORR was 71%, CR rate was 29%, and DCR was 100%. So if you're like me, you're reading this, and the first time you see it, you're like, what the heck does this mean? So ORR stands for overall response rate, and that's a combination of partial response and complete response. A partial response is when the tumor is decreased in size. Complete response is when all signs of cancer disappear completely. CR is that complete response rate. So 3 months after taking this new experimental treatment, 29%, almost 1/3 of the patients enrolled in the study had a complete response, meaning there's no longer any sign of cancer. So if you subtract that 29% from the 71% number, that means you get a partial response rate of 42%, which to me is still quite good. I mean, I'm not an expert on cancer treatments, but if 1/3 of the patients signing up for a treatment get it completely resolved, or at least disappeared for the time being, sounds pretty good to me. And 71% did have an effective response, and that's only after 3 months. So who knows if they continue treatment. I do have to look into this further, of course, and compare it with other treatments for these cancers and what the response rate is on those. But it must be, I think it's pretty good, in my personal opinion. And if we look down below, CTX130 had an acceptable safety profile across all DLs. So another important factor is making sure that it is safe for patients and there's no untoward side effects. So the safety profile being acceptable is another good sign. So I think this is what's really moving the stock over the past month, if I had to guess. Couldn't find much else. Usually when a stock moves this big, while they post a surprise beat in terms of profitability, in terms of their margins or how much money they made. Obviously, this is a very different kind of company, so nothing like that, but they did, at least to me, have some great initial results on this study for their CTX130 treatment, which is an extremely good sign. So I do believe that's why the stock has moved. And then there was another announcement recently where they will be hosting an Innovation Day on June 21st. That's coming up, and I will be watching it, as I'm sure many others will. But I think, if things are going poorly at your company, if your drugs are not working, you're not developing new products, then you're not going to host a investor innovation day presenting what you're doing. You'd kind of just hide it and sit in the corner and try not to draw attention to yourself. But if you're going to host a big innovation day like this, I think it's another good sign that things are going well. This will be focused on early research and development on these new medications. All right, so that's all I have for the analysis, and let's head back to wrap up. So to wrap up on this initial video on CRISPR Therapeutics, I have decided I am going to keep holding the stock for now. We've had a 49% run in the past month, which is a great run. I'm still down on the stock because it had a massive crash over the last year or so, like a lot of other growth stocks. But I see a lot of potential with their technology, with their new treatments. I think it's very exciting what they can do for cancer. I know we've all been impacted by it out there. And I think they could have a bright future, so I'm going to keep following them closely, but this one I do want to hold on to for now. Let me know what you think about the company down in the comments. Are you a shareholder? Are you considering selling or buying more at these levels? Is there something you think I've missed that has been moving the stock recently? Let's talk about it down below. I will see you next time. Bye.